So this is the next part of our series, Why I Am a Fool. And I know that's a strange title for a series, but it has a point to it. Why am I a fool? Well, I am a fool when I know what the right thing to do is and I don't do it. If someone tells you to, this is how, I guess this is a real guy thing, we always get picked on as guys, we take the directions and we throw them away. And I've been known to do that. I'll put this thing together. And I normally can. I'm pretty mechanical, but I have screwed up some things. And it's kind of foolish to have the directions right there and say, I don't need those. I'll put this together myself. It's foolish. And how many times do we make foolish decisions when God says, I tell you how to do these things. I tell you how to live. I give you these answers, and yet you don't follow them. You don't follow my wisdom. You make a mess, and then you blame God. We blame God when everything falls apart and go, God, where were you? Why did this happen? And God is like, I told you, don't go there. Don't do that. That's the wrong person for you. That's the wrong job for you. But you didn't listen. Okay, I give you the wisdom. And he does. God's wisdom. And you know where it's found? In God's Word. People say, God never talks to me. Well, if you got a Bible, you got thousands of pages there of words of God talking. And he says everything we need to hear. So anyway, tonight, big, bold topic, subtopic to our series, Why I Am a Fool series, the Wisdom of God series, is the secret to happiness. Now that sounds pretty bold to say, and maybe modify that and say it's a start. Okay, this is a start to the secret of happiness. And it has a lot to do about role modeling. And I know that sounds strange and it sounds confusing, but we're going to talk about role models. And like I said, next Sunday morning, unless I change my mind or God changes my mind, we will be talking more about this topic. But I want to talk about role models tonight. And it might sound like a strange place to go when we're looking for happiness. And always remember this, and if you've been following us the last couple, I think Sunday and Sunday night, and I think Wednesday too, I mentioned this about, someone that I know that I'm trying to help, and they're angry at God, and they hate God, and they don't believe in God anymore. They say he doesn't exist, and they hate him. It's kind of strange. And I told that person, you know what? You're not going to find God unless you're looking for God. If you're looking for happiness, you're not going to find God. See, that's the trick there, people. You don't find happiness by looking for God. You find God by looking for God. And when you find God, you'll find happiness. And I know that sounds strange and bizarre, but it's true. I'll give you an example, and this is probably a bad example. Let's say I like vanilla ice cream, and my whole life is about I want to find vanilla ice cream. Well, you can look around for vanilla ice cream out your back door, but you know what? You've got to go to the ice cream parlor. That's where they're handing it out. Okay? And that's the mistake we make with God. We're looking for happiness, but we're not looking at the right place. Okay? We're looking to God maybe so he can grant us all of our desires, but we're not really looking for God. We're looking for maybe what he can do for us. And that is pivotally wrong, people. It is wrong. It is wrong to look for God for happiness. And I know this is kind of like a paradox, and it sounds confusing. You don't look to God for happiness. You look to God to find God. And when you find God, you will find happiness. I'm going to say that until the day I die. It's one of the big things that religion gets wrong. It's one of the big things that so many of us get wrong. We go and we say, you know what, I'm lonely. I need to meet someone. Oh, I know what I'll do. I'll go to this church and I'll pray, and maybe this God will make me meet someone. Maybe this God will give me a job. Maybe this God will give me money. Maybe this God will take care of my problems. Maybe this God will heal me. But you're not looking for God. You're looking for what He can do for you. And isn't that, I'm going to coin that term again, isn't that spiritual prostitution? Right? Spiritual prostitution is just like real prostitution. You pay someone for services rendered. As a man, I don't think women go to prostitutes, but I know men do. And what do? You pay someone to give you what you desire, but you don't care for that person at all. You don't love the prostitute. You don't care if the prostitute gets cancer. You don't care anything about that person. You just go to them so they give you what you want. But you don't want them. Isn't that strange? That's why the Bible speaks a lot about harlots, right? The great harlot. What is a harlot? What is a prostitute? I don't know how I'm getting on this prostitute subject here, but we're going to go with it. A prostitute is someone that renders services to someone that they don't belong to, that they're not a part of. A husband should go to his wife for those services. A harlot is a make-believe wife. It is a false wife. It is a false place to go to. It appears to, because if you go to a prostitute, they look like a woman. They smell like a woman. They might have all those things, but that's not your woman. Okay? And I'm trying to bring this down into a term that we can understand when it comes to God. You want to find God. And when you find Him, all of these things shall be added unto you. Is that what the Bible says? Seek ye first His righteousness, right? And all these things shall be added unto you. And, and I apologize how I talk. I know everyone who comes to see me, not everyone, but most people are like shocked that I talk the way I do. People, we're all grown-ups. We're living in the year 2021. I'm not a Puritan. I don't think we're living in the Puritan society. Let's get real. Let's talk about things that are real out there. Let's not make believe that, I can't hear these things. My ears is too tender. You've heard a lot worse things. And this is reality. This is what life is, people. Let's get real. Let's talk about what's really going on. So let's get back to this as I move on here before I dig myself any further into a hole here. Okay, so what's a role model? And we have a goal here, people. We have a goal. So bear with me. You got to trust me because I'm going to take you down some crazy roads here. What is a role model? Well, a role model is what we ascribe to be, meaning, now think about this now. Who we follow is who we are. The role models in your life, through your life, whether it was your mom, your father, a musician, a movie star, the love of your life, whatever it is, think about this. We become who we follow. Okay? We become who we follow because there's something about their attributes that draw us to them. As a young person, I've shared before, I wanted to be a rock and roll guy in a band playing drums. Why? Because I saw rock and roll guys playing drums and I wanted to be what they are. My role models became my personal desire. Okay, follow me now. Role models are who we honor and who we want to be. A role model is someone that you give honor to. You often run to them. You want to, you want to kiss their finger. You want to touch their hand. You want to get an autograph. Role models are those that we honor. And we honor those who we want to be like. Think about it. When super bands came in and people would go see like the Beatles back in the day and who's ever popular now, I can't even keep up with it. Why do people rush the crowd? Why are there bodyguards there? Why? Because we actually want to be those people. If we can have what we want to be our celebrities. We want to be our role models. And also this, who we worship is who we trust. And if we worship our role models, we trust our role models. Do you think that's a good idea? Has that caused any problems in society? So many of us, we look at movie stars, even politicians, we fall into this. We make them our role models. We want them to be our role models. We trust our role models. We actually believe that, they are us, they think like us, and then we trust them, and what happens? We get hurt. Anyway, we're going to talk more about this Sunday, so hold on to that, but follow me on this thought. All of these desires of the people in our lives that are role models, and I want you guys and girls out there to think right now, who has been a role model in your life? Even if they're not anymore, did you have a role model that you looked up to that you found out wasn't that great? I'll tell you a true story. And, my downward spiral as a young person all came about by a role model. Now, I guess I was about 13 years old when I have just one sister, and she started to date this guy. And before she was dating him, she was dating, the star football player and all about that stuff. But she met this new guy. And when this guy came into our life, he affected me more than he affected my sister, because he became my role model. Now, before this guy came into my life, who was my role model? And I see you there, marrying your father. My father was my role model until a false role model came in. A prostitute role model. One that has the attributes of a role model but is deceptive. Okay? Now, my sister's boyfriend, who was he? Well, he was this cool guy. Okay? He had long hair. He painted his room black. He drove a black car. He was into Black Sabbath. He smoked pot. He drank. And he had an earring and tattoos. And I thought that this guy was the coolest guy. And guess what I did? I grew my hair long. I painted my room black. I painted my car black. Everything he did, he had these cool boots. I actually have a picture of them. I'll post them one day of me with my long hair. And I have these boots, those long Indian boots, those big, tall ones, and my pants tucked in them. He had a pair of those boots. I got a pair of those boots. And he became, I became so enamored with this person that I wanted to emulate him. I wanted to be him. Why? Because I thought that he was something that you wanted to be. This is the goal in life. Well, he drank. I got drunk the first time with this guy. I smoked pot the first time with this guy. And he got me from listening to, Barry Manilow to Black Sabbath. It was a big leap there. And this whole thing about being cool and dark and mysterious, it just infected me. And it took me down a dark road. And when we have these role models, people, okay, we can say we're not affected by them, but they are. But I have a twist to this topic tonight, okay? There's going to be a twist to this. Now, bear with me. How many of you people remember, now this is really old, how many people remember Karen Carpenter? She's a famous singer. She died of anorexia. She had that song, We've Only Just Begun, and a whole bunch of mega hits. And her brother just was an amazing singer. But what happened to Karen Carpenter? She died an early death. Why? And I've been just watching this on YouTube. I've been doing some research because I think that lady had the most unique voice. I've never heard another voice like it ever. And so I was interested, what happened to Karen Carpenter? Well, she caught herself one time because she was filmed a lot, and the first time she saw a picture of her, and she realized she looked a little bit heavy. And she never was heavy, but she thought she didn't look good. And she began to hate how she looked. And you know what happened? Her outside became her inside. She became her own role model. Now follow me on this. And we're going into deep psychology here, but I think there's a point here. She became her own role model, which led to her own destruction. You've heard me say many times, all of my depression books and anxiety books are dedicated to a young lady that I counseled who ended up committing suicide. And what happened to that young lady? She hated what she looked like. Okay? And it was a real strange thing, and I tried everything in my power. And what's bizarre, like Karen Carpenter, okay, Karen Carpenter wasn't ugly. She was a pretty lady, and she was never, maybe a little heavy, but, she ended up looked like she was an Auschwitz patient. She was, I think she was like 75 pounds or something when she died. It was just horrible. But anyway, this young lady was just a beautiful young girl, 26 years old, model. She could have been a model. She reminded me of the girl from Soul Surfer, that movie. This blonde, perfect, but she saw disfigurement. She saw disgust, and she had this phobia of looking at the mirror, and it made her sick. It made her sick to her stomach, so much so that she hated her skin. She hated everything about her. And, the funny thing was, the few times that she did come to church, all the young guys would just swarm around this girl whenever she came to church. And I would tell her, don't you see all these young guys? They all want to be around you. How can you feel that way? But what happened? What happened? Okay? Her outside became her inside. She hated how she looked, and she became her own role model. Listen to me now. We can live to please the world by thinking. Because this is a problem, people, and you might not think it's true, but we all live to please other people. Okay? And I have proof of it, okay? I have proof. The reason why we live, or the proof of why we, that we do live to please everybody, we are so concerned about how we are perceived. Look at the fashion industry. Look at the makeup industry. And guys, too, we're a part of this. We are obsessed with how we look. Just obsessed with it. How much money do we put into our outward appearance? And what is it really? Hiding. What's makeup? Makeup is to hide. Clothes we wear is to hide. I've learned something as I've gotten heavier, as I've gotten older, that black is my favorite color. Okay? And I know if I wear like a yellow or a white shirt or anything, it's not good if you're not happy with your weight. People, we spend, what's the first thing you do when you get up in the morning, you go to the bathroom, you look in the mirror, right? Clean up, fix yourself, we spend so much time. I know the ladies spend a lot more time, but as I get older, I think us men, we're spending more time trying to pluck and clean and make everything look good. Why? Why do we do that? Think of all the angst we go through as young adults or young children in high school. Isn't that our biggest thing? You get a zit when you're in school, your day is ruined. I'm not going to school. I'm not going with this big zit on my nose or whatever. You know what? It's horrible. You girls wax. I'm not going there. Okay? You do all these horrible things. You rip hair off of your legs with molten wax. Why do you do these things? Okay? Because how we look and act, we think will make them love us, which in turn we think will make us love ourselves. Okay? Now this is really deep, people. I want you to think about that. We live to please people, to get them to love us. Why do we please people? So they love us. Why? Because we will then love ourselves. We're looking for acceptance. We're looking for a reason to like who we are. But the fact is, people, it is a lie. It's all a lie. Okay? We're trying to find happiness, and we're trying to find inner peace and joy, and we're really going about it through the back door. We're going about it the wrong reason. We're trying to sell ourselves to people so people will love who we are, and when we get that love from them, we will love ourselves. I got a scripture for us. This is our next proverb in our wisdom-seeking quest. We're up to Proverbs chapter 3. And then, just in case you don't know, that's what we're doing in this Why I'm a Fool series, is we're going through the book of Proverbs. And we're going to read Proverbs chapter 3, verses 1 through 4, New Living Translation. And it says, "My child, never forget these things I have taught you. Store my commands in your heart, for they will give you a long and satisfying life." Oh, so that's something interesting here. So God's wisdom, if we don't forget it, if we learn what's been taught to us, and we remember it, they will give us a long and satisfying life. Verse 3, "Never let loyalty and kindness get away from you. Wear them like a necklace. Write them deep within your heart. Then you will find favor with both God and people, and you will gain a good reputation." Isn't that interesting? We want to find favor with people, but it starts with finding favor with God. In case you don't know it, God already is knocked out in love with us. I shared it the other night, and I'm not taking credit for it. We had a men's meeting last night, actually, and this young man came, I haven't seen in a while, and he said something. He stood up and shared his story, and he said something that was so profound. I said, I'm going to take that and use that for the rest of my life. I said, that is one profound statement. And he said that he found in his life the one that knows the worst and the ugliest about us is the one who loves us the most. People, let that sink in for a minute, because that's truth, man. That's like word. That's truth. Truth. That's truth. The one who knows the worst about us, knows every thought about us, knows every pimple on our face, he knows everything that's wrong with us, every thought, everything we've done that's bad, whatever it is, that's the one who loves us the most. And that's the one we try the least to please. God. God is sold out for us, people. He is sold out for us. He loves the way you look. You know why? He made you that way. He doesn't make any mistakes. And we spend so much time with the outward. And I'm not saying, you know what, we're not going to, yeah, we should, take care of ourselves. You don't want to look like a mess, but the point is, why do we do it? I'm not saying we're going to stop doing it, and it's good to exercise. The Bible does talk about exercise, but it does say it doesn't really profit that much. It profits a little. Yeah, it's good to be in shape. It's good to be healthy. It's good to eat healthy things and take care of your skin and take care of your hair. But that doesn't make the person. It doesn't make you happy. It never will make you happy. Matter of fact, if you look for, you know what the strangest thing I've found, and I've been, I like to go on YouTube and I like to watch. They have these video clips of celebrities, what they were and what they look like now. It is so depressing. But you know what's even more depressing? is the ones who refuse to get old. You get people, they're 60, 70 years old. They have so much plastic surgery and Botox. And I mean, let it go, people. You're looking like a monster. But what are we trying to do? We're trying to get people to still love us. Think about celebrities. You know what's hard about being a celebrity? It gets old. People don't look up to you forever. Think about being a star and then fading from that glory. That has to be really hard. I think our world today, the generation today, we have a hard time growing old. You think of like the generations before us. You know, I visit a lot of people in nursing homes. They're okay with being old. They know it's their time. And I often think, gee, you know, when I get to be in a nursing home, are we going to have like Led Zeppelin playing in the radio, and we're going to have tattoos, and we're going to be partying and, you know, acting like we did when we were 20? You know, we are a generation of people who can accept getting old. I don't know why I'm going on to this. That's not what I wanted to talk about. Let's get back to this other point here. Okay? Stop trying to sell ourselves. Every day you get up, you're trying to sell a product. You. And the problem is, people, you can't sell a product that we know is Ford. Okay? We're trying to sell ourselves even though we know we have a whole bunch of issues. We know we have problems, but we don't want the world to think so. So we sell a picture of a person who's perfect, hoping that everyone will see this perfect person and won't see the flaws. And if they don't see the flaws, they'll think we're great, we'll feel great, they'll love us, and we'll love ourselves. At the end of the day, we think that sequence of things will bring us happiness. And it's a dead-end road, people. It's circular logic that doesn't get you happiness. Because you know what the problem is? What do they say? You can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all of the time. Sooner or later, people are going to find out what you're really like. And if you hate yourself and you don't like who you are, you live in the fear of that. What if people find out what I really am, what I'm really afraid of? Remember as a kid, you used to play these things. Well, I'm not afraid of that. I'm not afraid of that. Nope. Right? We never wanted to be afraid of anything. We lied all the time because we didn't want people to see we had a weakness. But where does that leave us? We have to constantly live in this facade of showing people I'm not afraid of anything when we are afraid of a lot of things. We live a lie and we live under that pressure. You know, they say that peer pressure is only for teenagers. People, peer pressure continues on all the way until the day you die. We want people to think we're something that we're not. And we want that because we want to love ourselves, but we don't like ourselves. And we think if we can get people to like us and love us, then we'll like and love who we are. But what's the answer? Hey, Lori, how you doing? I'm just trying to say some hi to some of the people. I see Dawn is there. Hi, Dawn. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. So, what's the solution here? And wow, what time is it? Wow, the time flew by, and I didn't even think I was going to have nothing to talk about. I didn't even get to my points here yet, okay? Well, if we spend our whole life trying to get people to emulate us, get people to look at us as role models, so we will like ourselves, it's exhausting. Did you ever just get up and say, I just don't feel like getting dressed. I don't feel like fixing myself up. You know, you want to see that? Just go downtown Centereach here where we live. You go to the Walmart, okay? People have just, Sally's laughing here, because people have just, I walk around because my whole life is a social experiment. Since I was a kid, I'm constantly observing people and taking, just observing societal evolution, and I look and I see people in their pajamas with slippers on, in old, wrinkled, dirty pajamas. I mean, it's like, it's like a leper colony out there, people. Just go to Motor Vehicles Department, DMV. You see the wretches of society. It's a people who have just given up. Don't even care how we look anymore. Yeah, and they don't have self-esteem. See, you have two sides of the pendulum. You have those who work so hard to impress, and you have those who just say, I don't even care. And they're both wrong. I know it was Shakespeare who said all the world's a stage. And it's true. And he said, every day you go out, you look at yourself as being on a stage. How are people going to view how I act? How are people going to view how I respond to a situation? And we are just devastated if we do something silly or dumb and we get laughed at. It stays with us the rest of the day. We're trying to live above who we are. You know what really breaks my heart? Michael Jackson. That poor guy. Okay, I mean, it's obvious. He wasn't happy with who he was. I mean, he died a horrible death. I mean, how did he die? Because he used to go under, for the most part, general anesthesia because he couldn't sleep at night because of the torment in his soul and people. He had it all. Money, fame. He was the celebrity of celebrities. But what was his biggest thing? He hated how he looked. You watch the transformation of Michael Jackson. He looked like a monster when he died. He changed the color of his skin. His nose kept falling off. That's why I used to see him covering his face, because he had so much plastic surgery. Things were falling off of the poor guy. He lived in horrendous self-worth issues. And you would think, yes, Elvis too. All these celebrities, look at, when they get old, the poor people, gosh, they can't face the facts. Burt Reynolds, if you saw Burt Reynolds before he died, he looked like a monster. These people, they built their self-worth through making themselves to be their own role models. Why? Because they want people to love them, because they feel if people love them, they can love themselves. But you end up at a brick wall, people. All of those people ended up in a black dark room, because sooner or later people find out you're not what you portrayed. It's a facade. Do you know what a facade is? A facade is a false canopy on a house. They call it a facade. It makes it look like it's something that's not really there. If you go down to a lot of towns, like down in Port Jefferson, a lot of the towns have facades. They make it look like it's in like a fancy restaurant, but it's a facade. Okay. If you remember the old Shakespearean plays, remember they had the two masks. They'd have those masks, the happy face and the sad face. And back in that time in history, when you would go to the opera, when you would go to see the play, when you would go to see Shakespeare, okay, the actor, okay, he would hold the mask with a handle. And one was a happy face, and one was a sad face. And when the actor was portraying a sad character and he put on a happy face mask, the audience would shout, "Hypocrite! Hypocrite! Hypocrite!" The word hypocrite, what's hypocrite? It means you are portraying that you're happy when you're really sad. Someone is portraying to be something that they're not. Do you realize every day we are hypocrites? And it is so tiring to live each day as a hypocrite, because it's like a job that never ends. You can't turn it off. And, in the pastor circles, if you hang out with me, or you'll probably never hear me say this, but I'll say it now, one of the, people always say, Pastor, I want to hang out with you. I want to, over the years, a lot of the guys want to be my best friend and stuff. But you know what's so hard? It's hard for me because I always have to have the pastor mask on. I always have to be on. And, it would be nice to just be a regular person, not to have all the answers of time and space at my fingertips. And, we all make these worlds of ourselves. It's my own fault, But you know what? Well, we have to put on the mask. And what's makeup, people? But it's putting on a mask. It's hiding all of what we really are, all the blemishes. And ladies, you're all going to hate me, I know. But us men do the same thing. We lift weights, we get cool shirts. I got these cool shirts. I saw them on YouTube or some commercial about you can make yourself look really good. These cool t-shirts that make you hide your stomach and make your arms look bigger. I bought them. I thought it'd be cool. I don't think I'm fooling anybody.
Are they black?
Well, some of them are black. Yeah. 3 different colors: black, green, and blue were the shirts. And like, make yourself look good, and everybody will make it look like you have a small stomach and big upper body. And I think I'm going to buy those. And then I what the heck am I fooling? I look at myself in the mirror. That's so stupid. Why do we do this? Am I happy with myself? Probably not. I don't think anyone's happy with themselves. Okay? And you know what happens when you're not happy with yourself? You're not happy. You're not happy. And it shows on our faces. It shows on our faces. And we've been conditioned, people, all through our lives since kindergarten, right? You don't want to be the one who, falls down and, pees your pants. I remember, and it's funny things that are etched in my mind. I remember I was in kindergarten and I peed my pants and I was embarrassed. I had to spend the whole day with pee pants, and I couldn't wait to get home. I was mortified. It happens when you're a little kid, and the teacher was Mrs. Smith. I still remember my kindergarten teacher. Always felt, it's okay. No one sees. It's okay. Just go home. I'll tell your mom what happened. It's like those things live with us. And then you think, well, how many people remember the day that Scott peed his pants? No one but me. No one remembers but me. Next week, you're going to hate me, guys, but I'm going to give you a cliffhanger. Because what do we do with this place that we've placed ourselves in when we've made our own selves to be role models? You might not think that you did, but you do. We want to be role models because role models are looked up to. Role models are loved. Role models are emulated. Role models are followed. Role models have friends. The popular kids in school, right? Didn't you want to be the king and queen of the prom? I would have liked to have been the king of the prom. It's far from it. And what do? Sometimes the reverse psychology is we hate those people. See, it's easier to hate someone that we think we could never be. This way, I don't feel bad about me. But next week, we're going to talk about how do we get out of this hole? How do we turn the table? How do we live not trying to sell ourselves? Okay. Now, the key was in Proverbs chapter 3 there, and I want you guys, let's just read that one more time, and we'll leave you with some clues. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 1, "My child, never forget the things I have taught you." Now, in Proverbs, it's God's wisdom talking. It's kind of strange, but The wisdom of God is saying, my child, okay, those who follow me, remember all the things I taught you in my word. Store those commands in your heart. Etch them in your heart. Spend more time with what they are than with the things that people are telling you. For they will give you a long and satisfying life. People, don't you want a satisfying life? Don't you feel unsatisfied? How many people, you know what? What's that old song? Can't get no satisfaction. How many people can say, I am satisfied? I tell you one thing, the person who can say that is a happy person. The person who can say, I am satisfied, I am content. And what does God say? Be content in every state that we're in. It's the only place. But how do we find that contentment? How do we get to it? Well, the first clue is stop selling yourself. Let's read this Proverbs chapter 3, verse 3. Never let loyalty and kindness get away from you. Wear them like a necklace. Write them deep within your heart, and then you will find favor with both God and people, and you will gain a good reputation. Isn't that funny? We want to have a good reputation. Remember when you were in school? Like, that girl's got a bad rep, man. She's got a bad reputation. And that happened to be the girls that all the guys wanted to date for some reason. But, you know, our reputation was important. And isn't a reputation a hard thing to shake? What do they say? You know what? You can do a million things right and no one will hear about it. You do one thing wrong, it'll stick with you the rest of your life. But what's the answer? What's the answer? Because we can't go on selling ourselves. It's impossible. It's exhausting. It's tiring. It's painful. It's fruitless. And it makes us end up miserable. Because the fact is, and that's the thing, you might say, well, aren't the beautiful people happy with themselves? No, that's the whole point. That's what I tried to tell you, like with Karen Carpenter and that young, beautiful girl that I counseled. Okay? She was one of the beautiful people. And she was miserable. Do you think every celebrity in Hollywood, I mean, watch, you know the stories. I don't have to tell you about the Lindsay Lohans and the Britney Spears and all these people. They're train wrecks. They made it. They're there. And they're miserable. Because you got to keep selling yourself. It never ends. Madonna once said, and if you read that book that I told you to get, The Freedom of Self-Forgetfulness by Timothy Keller, he mentions Madonna in there. And Madonna, the pop star, she said something very profound. She, in so many words, she admitted what we were talking about. It's exhausting because just when you think you're on the edge of society and you're it and everyone's talking about you, you begin to fade. And what do you have to do? You have to do something extraordinary. And that's why all these celebrities are trying to do something over the top. The Lady Gagas and Miley Cyrus and all these people. Why are they pushing the envelope? They want to stay relevant. Because if they don't keep on blowing out the norms, they're not relevant anymore. And becoming irrelevant happens very fast in Hollywood and in the music world. People, they worry every day. Will I be in the news tomorrow, or will I be old news? We can learn from them. If they can't keep it up, how do you think we're going to keep it up? There's no happiness there. Those people are not happy. They're miserable. And so are we. Until we learn the secret to happiness. You're going to have to wait till next week now. You're going to have to come back to Lifetalk Live. And anybody have any comments as we wind down the show here? I think this is making sense. Hopefully, you guys. I hope this is speaking to your hearts, because if you're human, you deal with this every day. Okay? Even the people who think they're great and truly believe they have nothing wrong with them, they still fight this battle, because they fight the battle of convincing themselves every day there's nothing wrong with them. That's a hard battle to battle. Anyway, we're going to close tonight. Like to see you guys tomorrow night, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, p.m. There's my music. Sunday morning, we'll 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be talking deeper about this from a scriptural perspective. And Sunday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll be talking about who do we really trust? Do we trust ourselves, our leaders? Who can we trust? What does God say about that? He says something very, very clear, and it is the answer. Thank you so much, everyone, for being a part of this show. Don't forget, if you want to talk about these things privately, send us a text, 617696712. Email us at LifeTalkLive7. Share your thoughts and opinions, and we could even post them next time on the show without using your name. And share a story.
Look at all the hearts.
I know, thank you for all the hearts. You people love me, you see? I'm trying to sell myself. I want everyone to love me because I don't love myself. And I'm in that mix too, people, every day. Every day. And I don't want to stay in that mix. Okay? Thank you so much. God bless you all, and we'll see you next time.